Title: Shutter Speed and Motion Control. Module: Camera Fundamentals. Every photograph captures a moment in time. But one of the photographer's most important creative decisions is determining how much of that moment should be frozen and how much should be allowed to flow. This decision is controlled by shutter speed. Shutter speed refers to the amount of time the camera's shutter remains open while exposing the image sensor to light. It is measured in fractions of a second, such as 1/1000th, 1/250th, 1/60th, or even several full seconds. Although it is often explained as a technical setting, shutter speed is really a creative tool that shapes the mood and energy of a photograph. In fine art figure photography, most subjects are relatively still. Unlike sports or wildlife photography, the goal is usually not to capture fast action, but to preserve expression, gesture, and subtle body language. Even so, understanding shutter speed is essential because every movement, no matter how small, affects the final image. A fast shutter speed freezes movement. If a model turns their head, lifts a hand, or lets their hair move in the wind, a fast shutter speed captures that moment with sharp detail. This creates images that feel crisp, clear, and precise. A slower shutter speed, however, tells a different story. Instead of freezing motion, it allows movement to appear as soft blur. This blur can communicate grace, emotion, rhythm, or the passage of time. A flowing dress, moving hair, or a slowly changing pose can create photographs that feel almost like paintings. The choice between a fast or slow shutter speed depends entirely on your artistic intention. If your goal is to emphasize the sculptural beauty of the human form, a faster shutter speed is usually the better choice. Every detail remains sharp, allowing viewers to appreciate light, texture, and composition without distraction. If your goal is to express emotion or movement, a slower shutter speed can become an artistic tool. Rather than showing exactly what happened, it suggests the feeling of motion. The image becomes less about physical accuracy and more about emotional experience. One of the challenges of using slower shutter speeds is camera shake. Even the smallest movement of the camera can produce unwanted blur. As a general guideline, photographers often choose a shutter speed that is at least as fast as the focal length of their lens when shooting handheld. For example, with an 85mm lens, a shutter speed of around 1/100th or faster usually helps maintain sharpness. When slower shutter speeds are desired, using a tripod becomes extremely valuable. A stable camera allows intentional movement from the subject while keeping the rest of the image perfectly sharp. This combination can produce beautiful fine art effects. Lighting also influences shutter speed. In bright daylight, fast shutter speeds are easy to achieve. In low-light environments, slower shutter speeds may be necessary unless additional lighting or a higher ISO is used. This is why aperture, ISO, and shutter speed always work together. Changing one often requires adjusting the others to maintain proper exposure. Many beginners believe every photograph must be perfectly sharp, but artistic photography teaches us that blur is not always a mistake. When used intentionally, motion blur can become a powerful storytelling element. It can suggest dance, emotion, transformation, or the quiet passage of time. Imagine a figure standing still while gentle waves move around them. A slower shutter speed allows the water to become soft and flowing while the subject remains sharp. The result is an image that feels peaceful and timeless. In another scene, slight movement of a hand or flowing hair may create a sense of life that a frozen image cannot fully express. As photographers, our goal is not simply to stop time. It is to decide how time should be represented within the photograph. The more you experiment with different shutter speeds, the more you will understand their emotional impact. Try photographing the same scene at 1/1000th, then at 1/250th, 1/60th, and finally at 1 second using a tripod. Each image will tell a different story, even though the subject has not changed. In fine art figure photography, shutter speed is far more than a technical setting. It is a creative language. It allows you to choose whether a moment feels still or alive, quiet or energetic, realistic or dreamlike. When you learn to control time through your camera, you gain another powerful way to express your artistic vision. And that is when shutter speed becomes more than a number, it becomes a storyteller.